can be a real struggle for a lot of teams.
Yeah. And as we now hit the end of the draft, we're going to see the Hawksbill Rek'Sai and the Christian Simeone Yone. Both of which picks that I'm quite excited to see out of these two players. Rack on the classic Shyvana. Yeah, this is setting up to be a pretty interesting game one. Nothing too out of the ordinary, I would say. Maybe the AD carry Seraphine. But outside of that, all relatively standard for what we'd expect from these two teams in particular.
Yeah, quickly, Yone will scale up with the lethal tempo. I don't think you're going to want to be taking any risky plays early on.
Well, here we go. On to the Rift.
Finding our way on for game one. Let's take a look at where these pings are, because if I've learned anything about UNL, it's the second that the casters say they're going to do one thing, they hear that echo through their ears and do the exact opposite just to prove us wrong. So yeah, it looks like it is going to be a 5-point just to see what the situation is for both teams.
Yeah, keeping it standard, like you say, not wanting to lose game one in the first minute. So hopefully it doesn't stay this cagey for the whole series, but understandable that these teams would want to start it out a little bit slower.
Yeah, oh, trust me, this is the calm before the storm right here. It's about to devolve into chaos. It's just, you need to give it a second to boil over. We have a look at the matchups as well. I think, seeing as we do have a moment of calm, might be a good time to talk about what it is that we're looking at in terms of what lanes our junglers going to be looking to play for early, and how these two teams are trying to win the game, basically. Both teams scale fairly well. You can make arguments for either side, really. And I think junglers early are definitely going to be pathing down bot side. As much as Rack can be abusing the Ornn a little bit, that's just going to have to be how that matchup goes. And that seems to be exactly what we're seeing with where they're starting on the map here.
Yeah, I think Fool knows he's in for a bit of a rough time. Nice early trade, though, from Christian onto the Nico.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the kind of poke like that Eris really needs to be trying to avoid, because that's how this matchup can flip on its head. Normally, this is quite a good matchup for Nico. She can really control the push and the state of the lane, but if they keep getting hit by them, you keep getting chunked down auto after auto, they start to add up very quickly.
Yeah, the damage really starting to stack really can change the landscape of the lane. But it looks like, other than a couple of little trades, relatively passive.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably what we're going to be seeing. I mean, all of these lanes, it's kind of like all or nothing, right? It's either going to be one target is looking for an engage and they're looking to go hell for leather, or both teams are just going to be sort of just lightly poking it out, and you're not going to see anything crazy till people are below that sort of 50% health mark. And even with the lanes that we've got here, that 50% health mark might take a while to come about. It's two fairly tanky champions up in the top lane, and in the bot lane you have the Seraphine healing up from all this Brand and Jinx poke, and hopefully, if they're playing the lane correctly, 777 will be able to stay very healthy into this bot lane and not get caught by too much poke and hooks from the Nautilus.
Yeah, the junglers, however, may have something to say about this bot lane. Both of them starting in the top side, clearing down towards their bot side buffs now. So either Hawksbill or Judgy Rocks could look to make something happen, as Christian diving in again in the mid lane.
Yeah, and it looks like Sazim is going to be hanging about here. The wave going in, Eris in a pretty tough position.
The Tremors gonna find the knock up, slashing around, knocked up, no, flash away, but first blood falling to the Yone. Christian flashing forward to get the series underway, as we're going to see another trade in the top side. Fool doing what he can to Rack and then turning tail very quickly.
Yeah, that first blood was very well orchestrated there by FMD, managing to get the pick, just Sazim being where they needed to be when they needed to be there.
Yeah, as we see Martin Juicer King take a big chunk there in the bot lane before turning around a little bit onto Ara. Hopefully that is the storm starting to break, and we're going to see chaos from here on out, though, with the first kill being out the way.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that this was changed in the patch notes, that wards are now major objectives, but apparently 4 people need to be on the side of the map for just getting them deleted. But It seems like despite the early kill going down, Judgy Rocks does actually manage to end up getting the scuttle, so picking back little advantages where he can, and then also just going to bail Eris out of the mid lane a little bit here.
Yeah, just a little bit of additional pressure onto the Yone.
Yeah, so as per usual, that first blood is going to sort of disrupt Sazm's path enough to the point where Judgy Rocks is able to get the slight farm lead, able to keep the game a bit closer to even. Now, we are going to see Drake spawning in. I don't anticipate any team specifically moving for this really early on unless they're looking to scrap around it, which, again, I don't think either of them are. So outside of a big pick onto them, I don't particularly see that happening.
Fool looking for Rack. One more auto. Flash is traded. And the Shyvana lives.
Yeah, I mean, just taking some rough early game trades here, Rack. Not exactly what we were expecting to be seeing in the top lane. This matchup should be fairly easy for Rack. Does get the level 6.
And Fool eats a tower shot for no reason.
But we are seeing there's 4 people on the top side of the map here. The ultimate comes out.
Oh, Dragon's descent forward, flash forward from Sazm though, and he is going to finish off Rack. Judgy not in the area in time to react, and that's going to be another kill picked up for FMB as the trades in the bot lane begin. Tenshi and Ara trying to turn some of the aggro back, but no kills going to come from it.
Yeah, again, FMB just finding a nice clean gank. Judgy Runk's caught with his trousers around his legs, doing Krugs not able to drop the camp or not wanting to drop the camp quickly enough. And yeah, Rack just getting punished for taking these aggressive trades. I think the one thing that you really do need to remember against Ornn is if you're letting him take these trades repeatedly and you're trading to his cooldowns, he's exactly where he wants to be because the percent max health damage that comes out from the breath is so strong.
All the while the lane's just beating each other up, the Void Grub's going to go the way of 777. Judgy going to pick that first objective up. 4 Grubs obviously now is the break point, so 1 more, and they will get the little Void Mites on the push. But quite nice for Judgy there to get something back for his team.
Yeah, and I mean, this is exactly what you're wanting to see, right? When your team's in a situation like this, where you have dropped a couple first bloods around the map, you need a good jungler to help stabilize the game and make sure that you're not dropping a crazy number of objectives. And Judgy Rocks has had some great pathing here, which has really allowed his team to not end up dropping any resources. He's still gotten 100% objective participation. Obviously very easy when there's only 1, but when your teammates are dying in 2 separate lanes, it can actually be a lot harder than it sounds. So the fact that he's in this point, the fact that 777 are only down about 700 gold right now is actually really good, given they've given over 2 kills, including first blood.
Yeah, Forge God going to be called here in the top lane as the Dragon's Descent times out, but it's just for Fool to get himself away. Seems like Rack has taken this early kill very personally.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what we're expecting from the Shyvana lane, right? Hit level 6, you're pressing the button because you get it back.
Oh, the hook! The max range hook onto Tenshi. Ara going to get stunned up by the Chompers, though, as the Seraphine is stunned up and locked down. 777 striking back with Kargili trying to run away. Burning from the dot. Judgy diving forward. Slow going to go wide, and Kargili, would he hook to the tower safety? No, the stun comes through, and Ara picks up a second. 2-2 now on the board, but 777 with the gold lead.
They managed to find the kills back in the bot lane, and despite the early struggles, they'll find themselves back on even footing in gold, and now Judgy Rocks even on net, as we see a play in the mid lane.
Eris is going to fall to the snapback. Christian solo kill, 2-0 Yone.
And this is how you can know that the series is going the way that we want it, because it feels like every time myself or Dabus or anyone tries to talk about the game state, we just get interrupted by someone else dying, something else going down, or something else happening around the map. So we're finally getting to see this chaos. 5 kills, 9 minutes. Gold still relatively even. Objectives up, as I mentioned, for the side of 777. So despite giving over the early kills, they're definitely in a more stable position here.
Yeah. While everything seems, relatively quiet for a moment, do you want to break down the first 9 minutes of this game? Is it living up to expectations? Who do you think is getting the early advantages?
I like the focus on mid lane from FMB. This is a matchup where mean, just considering the team comp, you need this Yone to be able to just power through just about anything, because he's going to be the primary damage dealer, the one that's going to be diving in. So he needs to be on, he needs to be in the right position, basically. So that's what I like from FMB. On the other side, though, it's 777 putting their resources towards the bot lane, which also makes sense, because Jinx is going to have to deal with plenty of frontliners.
And maybe this Jinx can remember to buy an LDR. Not like Jinxes we've seen earlier this week.
Oh, what a flash.
UNL has always been
The flash forward. Pot Blossom comes through and it should just be enough to keep Eris alive.
UNL has always been famous for its interesting itemization choices, but I do hope that Tenchi will see the light, will see the Lord Dominix, and realize that it's definitely an item worth buying. But yeah, no, I just like Dabba says, I love where both teams have been focusing this game, just knowing where their strengths are and playing towards them. Eris is without any kind of slight towards them. They're the lower points rated player, they're the lower elo player on 777, so as this is a UNL game, they should be your target. They should be the lane through which you're trying to get advantage, especially with it being Christian Simeone, as we see another fight breaking out in bot lane.
Yeah, another fight gonna break out. Kargly throws down the... Just going to look to join the fray here. Martin Juicer King and Kargly not able to get away. The Seraphine falls. Nico is on the board as the Zap connects as well, but there's not quite enough damage coming out from the Jinx.
And it's so funny because it's exactly what I was just about to move on to talking about, is saying FMB are trying to punish through the mid lane where they have a massive elo gap between Christian Simeone and Eris. And now we see the exact same thing on the bot side for 777. They know just how incredible their bot lane support duo are, and they're playing towards it, and we can see it in those fights. Despite that being something that 5-minute breaks started off, it's 777 that end up coming out on top.
Ooh, Judgy and Christian going blow for blow here as well. The snapback, Ara waiting, stun going to land as the Fate Sealed comes through, and it's just that for Judgy Rocks. Christian picking up his third, but now in a 1v3, not going to be able to get himself away as Rack diving forward, going to claim that one, but no, Ara gets the shutdown.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about Judgy Rocks wanting to trade blow for blow with a Yon during his Soul Unbound, but regardless, it results in a 1-for-1, so absolutely not the end of the world for them. As we see just the metagame of these two teams developing even further, we see them playing more and more to exactly where their advantages are. And while FMB did not necessarily find themselves in the situation that they're wanting to there, it's not broken open the game. Both teams are still fairly even. We do see a small 1k gold lead developing for 777, likely coming from the objectives and the global gold that they have over FMB. But I'm sure it will not be so close for very long.
No. Second Drake will be spawning in about a minute from now. Judgy actually, while we were looking at the bot lane fight, picking up the second set of 3 grubs, as well as Ara going to be caught. Depth charge thrown down. Sazam picking up the second for them. As now Eris might be caught out by Christian. Knock up not quite going to land, and the Tangle Barbs will get the Nico out to safety.
Good route there by Eris. All things in all, with the elo gap here that we mentioned, they are actually playing this lane fairly well, from what we're wanting to see from them. And I mean, here is, as we look over to top lane, exactly what I was wanting to talk about, is the Void Grubs are going to come into so much use in the game for what 7-7 are wanting to do. Rack going to be putting on so much pressure. The wave clear on the Nico and also the pushing power of the Jax are going to mean that they should get full value out of these. I think the next thing we need to look for is to the Dragon and what this means for both teams and how the fight's going to play out.
Oh, but Christian wanting to deny the Dragon straight away, dives over, but not fancying that 1v2, as now 777 converging for the 4v4 in the river. Rack taking away some jungle camps. Dragon yet to be started, but Judgy will do the honors on that one.
Looks like it's going to be Sans top laner, so we see some damage going over. It's looking like 7-7's Dragon, but they're posturing for the steal.
Yeah, Sazam diving forward. Dragon secured by Tenchi, as Sazam going to get stunned up. Having it to flash, but not going to be able to get it over in time. Judgy picking that one up. And it's just going to be the 1 kill and the Drake.
Typical UNL play there. I mean, really just seeing what it looked like FNB there really just didn't know whether they were going for the steal, whether they were going for the fight, or whether they just needed to get off. I think what they needed to do there, once the initial poke went over on to Cargilly, they need to decide then and there, are we going to try and take the fight while the cooldowns are on, or are we going to call off the play? Because they went for stock right in the middle, they just ended up with the worst of both worlds and ended up losing the Drake, losing a player, and losing the resources.
Forge got called as Fool, gonna flash onto Rack. The Dragon's Descent comes down, and it's gonna just about be enough to get the Shyvana to safety.
I mean, that's the power of this pick right here, right? Even when it looks like Ornn might have a lethal window, now that Shyvana is level 6, level 11 even, now with the second upgrade point in that ultimate, they're going to generate it so quickly through the auto attacks in lane, and they're practically always going to have both an escape and an engage tool. So it's really going to be up to Sazem to have an impact in this top lane and start really be forcing Rack to make the uncomfortable choices.
$777 though, looking quite impressive to start out this series. The objective control very much been on point. Herald secured both sets of grubs, both dragons, and the first tower. And if you're able to have that level of objective control whilst matching your opponents in the brawls, it definitely stands you in good stead for the game and potentially the series.
Yeah, I mean, it really was, again, we can put this to, as I mentioned, to Judgy Rocks in the early game, recognizing that, okay, the situation might look chaotic. We essentially just got basically two solo kills in the mid lane. Not in the mid lane, sorry. Solo kill in the top lane and gank in the bottom lane. And as we see a little bit more action going over, but it doesn't look like the play's going to fold out. But the
Judgy going to dive forward, yeah, has the stun, but gets depth charge. The Encore comes through, the Death Rocket finds its mark, and Nautilus will fall. Cargilly taken out of the play, and now Christian forced to flash away as well. Directed camera obviously wanting to just show us the top lane farm fest, because obviously that's the most interesting thing on the map.
It always is, two top laners smacking the hell out of each other. We know how that algorithm works at this point. It's apparently just the most interesting thing in the world. Herald going down mid, absolutely the right call here. Get that cracked open so we can have folks moving about the map.
Look at all the little grubbies.
Yeah, I'm unsure if they're... Yeah, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to take this tower here. Yeah.
Forced dangerously low as Fool's just going to get solo killed under his own tower by Rack. Martin Juicer King taking heavy punishment as well as Tenshi gets excited.
And to be fair, can you blame directed camera for struggling in games like this? We just saw large amounts of damage and fights happening across 3 lanes. Sazem now going in. Looks like he might die for his sins. The flash forward. Yeah, he is going to go down. Does end up finding it. How can you keep up with the chaos without having 3 separate split screens on all 3 lanes between these 2 teams?
16 kills, 17 minutes. This series is delivering. And it's 777 with just shy of a 4,000 gold lead as we hit the 18-minute mark.
And all of that gold is on the most important member as well. So even better for the team that is just, I mean, this Jinx was not even looking to spike at 2 items, but, you know, when she's this far ahead, might as well consider it a spike.
Yeah, and actually, could we take a look at that gold chart as we see this fight coming across?
Christian just using that ultimate just to get himself to safety.
I think I would
respectable.
I don't think I... Do I have the hotkey enabled for that? Just 1 second.
It should be X by default.
It doesn't
We're
work.
gonna see Rack
Diving
diving forward once again.
That later.
Yeah,
Fool just forced to
important.
teleport. Loses the majority of his health bar for it, as we're going to see Ara caught there by the knockup, with a massive Pop Blossom coming through from Eris, catches 2. And everyone, it's absolute chaos in the team fight. 777 edging it so far, though. 3-2-1 on the kill scorers. Rack now chasing down Christian. Not going to be able to find it as the Yone makes it under the tower.
That's the beauty of these 777 drafts. They don't conform to the norms. Everyone deals damage. So even if you kill a Jinx, you can still lose the fight, but Christian... That's a kill. That's a shutdown.
big amount of resources. They are going to get the dragon in return for it. That is going to put them on soul point, but not exactly what you want to be seeing. You do not want to be giving away that shutdown. And on top of that, you absolutely do not want to be giving that shutdown over to Christian Simeone. We were just talking about how much the Jinx hypercarry and spiking on 2 items, the value that that can bring to the team. But if they have a Yone on top of them 24/7, it's going to make their game really hard to play, and that is not what Tenchi wants to be seeing. Things are going over. It looks like the vision onto this blue buff isn't going to lead to a play. Baron spawning in here. But interested to see how the terrain shapes it, because I think that's really going to affect how we can play that game. The Ornn terrain can make a huge difference. As Tenchi gets engaged
Christian
on.
finds a catch on the Tenchi and blows the Jinx to pieces. Absolutely one shot in that fight.
I mean, pace point. Hook, line, sinker, you know? This is exactly what I was saying earlier. How can Jinx hypercarry if she's getting jumped on and she doesn't get to play the game? And we just saw a prime example. Not 1 second to survive.
Yep.
Yeah, now we're going to see a fight around Baron, potentially, or just the force coming through from FMB in the 5 versus 4. Christian dashing around, trying to chunk out who he can, but it's Kargili who's taking the majority of the damage at the moment. Eris looking to move forward, but Judgy going to get knocked up. The Forge God is called. Hot Blossom only finds one, and the hook lands on to the Nico. Endo taken down. Ara going to follow with the depth charge, and the Super Mega Death Rocket just whistles by. Nothing to be done.
Yeah, 7-7-7 needed to play the poke game there. Eris just got baited in at the thought of potentially a big Pop Blossom. Didn't end up finding it, and it's going to cost them 2. However, FMB are not going to be able to find their way onto the Baron. Might need to give that a short 5-minute break before they can get back on top of it. But I'm sure we're going to have more fights developing around the area of the map very soon. It does serve for them as a bit of a damage check. They're able to just kind of know how long it takes them to take it down. So I definitely think we'll be seeing a lot more scraps towards the top side of the map. But now 7-7 are going to be in a bit more of a comfortable position, as that dragon is going to be spawning in a bit closer to the fight. We now have got 3 minutes on that timer.
And very important dragon to be contested as well. 7-7-7 on soul point.
And I'll be very interested to see how 7-7-7 play that out. Because at this point, the Yone is well and truly online, as we can see on our screens.
Dragon's
He's
the
dead.
forced out, but it may not even be enough. He's just blown up. This Yone is going off.
Yeah, that is a big problem.
The Shyvana really needs time to be hitting. They are tanky, but drain tanky. And when you have a target like that with the Yone, where he can just 100 to 0 you quicker than you can react to it, what are you able to do in that situation? As we see the pings going down to Ara on the top side of the map, they might be the next target.
Yeah, FMB rotating the resources up, trying to cover off the Yone, and they will be successful to do so. Christian picks up his side's first tower, his side's first neutral objective. And FMB striking back here in the mid game.
Now, around this Baron and how they're going to play it out, there's still a minute 40, so I would say it's not enough for 7-7-7 to just be able to call it off and just say, right, we'll go for the Drake.
Eris going to get dove on. The Pop Blossom flashed away from. A little bit premature there, I feel.
A little bit premature, perhaps, but being able to guarantee a burn on the jungler's flash right before an objective can always be very valuable. Now, Rek'Sai can be a bit slippy, but at the end of the day, with the short cooldown, we already see the Pop Blossom back up. It's already a quarter of the way done. If they can just stall out the fight long enough to where that's back up, they're in a great position with Sazim's flash down.
Yeah, if you can wait long enough and delay for that Pop Blossom to come back off cooldown, I would agree, definitely worthwhile, because you remove the opportunities for that flash on Burrow.
Yeah. And it looks like Dragon is going to be back up when that Pop Blossom comes up, so this is exactly what we're looking for from 7-7-7 here. Just wait it out. The onus is not on you to start either of these objectives because you have the objective lead with the Drake. This is the power that Judgy Rocks has managed to get for his team into this game. Just regardless of champions, regardless of draft, they're able to say, we're far enough ahead here. You have to be the one to make the hard choices, and no matter what, we're going to try and come out on top.
Yeah, Tenchi forced to flash away from Christian, but it may not matter. The Yone is inevitable. Takes down the Jinx yet again. as now Rack might be caught in no man's land here. 1 versus 4 is the Shyvana as the Dragon's Descent comes down. Pop Blossom going to find a couple of stuns, but it's Christian who's finding all of the kills. Ara striking back though, 1 and 2. Judgy Rocks picking those ones up as Cargilly trying to get away, but try in vain. Fool and Martin Juicer King versus Ara and Judgy, but that looks to be the end of the fight. 3 for 3.
To be able to come out on top of that play in a 3 for 3 is honestly very well played there for 777. The question just becomes, how does Judgy Rocks play out this low health interaction? There's poke here from both sides, so a very dangerous situation. If Ara on fire, they are playing with fire here, quite literally on the brand pick, and with how far up they're playing, trusting their mechanical ability. And again, trading even for even here, taking the shutdown on Christian Simeone is good territory for 777 to be in. And the thing that I keep having to come back to is this Drake is not going down. They still firmly have control over the objective timers in this game.
Yeah, nice little bit of poke there onto the Ornn. I mean, it's an Ornn. He's not going to take that much damage, but any HP you can strip away is going to be useful. The other thing to look at here as well, I know we're talking about this dragon for the soul, and the importance of the soul should not be understated, but 7-7 have a Shyvana on their team. Rack is going to be a lot tankier because of all of these dragons. Oh, the clone. No, not the clone. That is actually the Nico. Pop Blossom only lands onto 1, but Christian dove on by Judgy Rocks. It's another massive brawl as the Encore rattles through, and it's FMB that demolished the fight. 3 quick kills, going to be 4 when Rack falls momentarily. Eris limping away, and FMB execute to perfection.
Yep, that's exactly how their team comp needed to play out those fights. You get on top of Tenchi, you get on top of the damage carries, and you use your wombo combo to absolutely annihilate them. Perfectly played. This is not only going to be a dragon, not only going to be a baron, but it's going to be a huge map advantage for FMB. Their champions have 100% scale to the point where they're super strong now. We see Christian Simeone on 3.5 items, the QSS as well, knowing just how imperative he is to playing out these fights. Beautifully done, beautifully played, and if they can execute one more team fight like that, I'm thinking this is FMB's game.
Especially if they can do so with the Baron buff. Ornaments starting to come through as well, so we're in the late game now. 777, what have you got for us? FMB looking imperious.
It's just both win conditions for 777 that we usually think of when we talk about this team. Rack is not strong enough yet to just take over a game, and like, even if Ornn were to beat someone else, it's Yone that can match him, and he easily wins the 1v1. And then, like, we saw what happened to Jinx in that last fight. He's unable to play the game. League of Legends is not a game that he's playing right now. It's more like a cutscene. Just watching yourself die. Like, I don't know what's... Is there any recourse for 777 at this point? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's super hard, right? Because this comes back to the point I was making way before, right at the start of draft, of like, it seems like 5-minute breaks read on how 7-7 want to play the game is really, really strong, because a lot of the time and a lot of the way they've got their wins is by Rack being just this absolute powerhouse in the top lane, and he's not proving it.
Christian just deleting everyone who steps onto his screen. A double kill in the top lane for the FMB mid laner with the assistance of his support. Gotta show the support some love, but now Sazam tunnels over the wall, flashes straight away from the Jax, not wanting any of that action.
Rek'Sai jump scare, E over the wall and then flash straight back. But yeah, no, I mean, that goes into proving the exact point that I was making. It just, Rack needs to be a powerhouse pick, and he's just not in this game.
Christian stunned up, actually. This could be bad for the Yone. Tenchi, given some space, given some time, is free firing, and we'll find Sasam. Excitement going to build here for the Jinx. Excitement building for the 777 fans as they're going to find a double kill for their AD carry.
And that is to answer your question. That's how they get back in the game. If FMB slip up for even a second and we manage to get one excitement, then 777 can run away from the fight. But if Yone is in the picture, that makes that infinitely harder.
And again, we have a moment to breathe. 2 minutes until this Infernal Dragon. Once again, it would be Soul for 777. But if it's picked up by FMB, the potential for someone to just get one-shot by this Yone increases ever more as Christian going to be dove on. But he's taking the fight to Judgy. Not... Oh, he does pop him. Just. But that's another kill for this Yone.
The damage is absolutely crazy. That champion is not okay.
Forge God going to be called as well. FMB want this fight. Tenshi pops the ghost, dodging away. But important cooldowns being forced.
Yeah, it was an attempt by 777, but Judgy just underestimating how much damage can come out. The second the heat is down from him and he's unable to dodge the auto attacks anymore, the damage is absolutely massive. But as we were saying there, you know, 777 still trying in this game. There's no doubt that as Jinx gets more and more items under her belt, she is going to be able to deal with this a lot more. And funnily enough, it's one of the things we were talking about earlier, how we definitely want to see the Lord Dominic's regard. It looks like that's about to be completed as soon as these waves are picked up. No doubt she has the gold for that in her inventory. But because they've chosen Diatomize to deal with the tanks, which was absolutely a necessity for this game, there's no money left aside for any kind of Guardian's Angel or anything else like that. And Eris Flash being burnt, but it looks like he's still going to go down.
Yeah, not even time for the Pop Blossom to go off. Christian is here. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say about this Yone. He wants this title.
The damage is crazy. I feel like we need to take a look back at the draft here from 777, because it seems like they Yone pick every time that it's made its way through for the side of 77 for the side of FMB. It's been an absolute nightmare character to play against.
And again, Christian, he dives in 1v3. He manages the assassination on Tenshi, gets away completely for free. Ara hooked up, knocked up, locked up, gonna be taken down as well by the Rek'Sai. And full position for FMB for the Dragon, full position in the mid lane, and set up for Baron if they so desire.
Yeah, and once again, adding another 5 minutes to where 777 aren't going to be able to claim this soul. The Baron will be up shortly, just a minute 20. And we've gone from what it felt like 777, despite being down, it felt like the ball was entirely in their court in terms of calling which plays, but FMB managed to find one angle the one angle that they needed for a full 5v5 wipe, and it was all that was needed as we see a fight going down in the bot lane here. Rack chasing down Deja.
Yeah, and I imagine Rack will have been wanting more of these kinds of scenarios throughout this game. Not necessarily this one, though, in the 1v2 as the Forge God going to come through. Rack holding his own as Sazam, for some reason, runs away.
He was like, you got this from here.
Not quite sure.
Not Ornn's damage potential.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he used all of his cooldowns already.
Yeah. Hey, it's not about getting the kill. It's about sending a message. Fine. As we are going to see a brand. I think there was a brand on my screen.
That celestial opposition value was crazy. It really protected him from a lot of damage.
Yeah, I mean, clearly in this game, like, you mentioned how it's about sending a message. Yeah, it is a message. And that message from Christian Simeone is, get off my goddamn screen, you rat. You are not allowed to exist within 2 screens, if not 3, of my character. Otherwise, you will get one shot. You need your tanks to walk in. And even then, I'm going to 3-shot that.
Or he's just going to ignore them, dive past them with the Soul Unbound as another hook lands. Kargili on point in this game 1.
How many games is this man going to be able to get this Nautilus on? Because it feels like every single game that they've played in the series against anyone, the Nautilus gets locked in and it is absolute mayhem for their opponents and they can't find their way to a win. You got to respect some of the lower elo players in UNL, because when they find their comfort, when they find the pick that they like, if they're able to get value out of it, they all of a sudden go into being a gold level player.
Oh, the Fate Sealed's massive onto 3. Encore catching everything as well, as it's 2 kills before the teleport's even completed. Eris TPing into his death. Judgy gonna fall. Eris the final nail. Rack trying to hold the wave, so maybe they don't lose an inhib here, but I think Kargili and Fool between them just face tank the tower.
Yeah, he's gonna make
really
the right
want
decision.
this base, but it's not possible. Not without
Rack
a
says
wave.
no.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Rack does a very good job there of holding the wave, stopping the base from being broken, but at this point it feels like a question of when, not if.
Yeah, I mean, given how long this game has managed to go on for, where it feels like 777's been at a deficit the whole time, it does start to make you ask, Jinx is finding her way slowly to 6 items. She will eventually reach the point where she is uber scaled, but
good
if Yone's just
flash.
going to keep deleting people, what can you do about that?
Good flash from Ara, though. Stun comes through, and here goes the comeback, possibly. All of the Infernal Shards scattered from Christian's body.
That's 1K's worth of gold towards doing exactly what I was talking about there, of getting Jinx back on the board. But if it's going to take, I'm going to be honest, Christian Simeone making a very idiotic mistake, then that's not the situation that you want to be in a 777.
Yeah, well, we saw, like, Hammer was panning all the time when Christian was just toying with 777, basically mid lane, just using his cooldowns very liberally. This time he actually pays for it, since he couldn't really escape from that. He couldn't attack Jinx back because he would take tower aggro. Bit of an awkward spot. I mean, yeah, but it is still very much a problem. I mean, his scoreline looks like he's playing against... I mean, maybe I won't say that because it feels a little bit disrespectful, but it is 20 kills in 3 minutes.
You're absolutely right.
Minutes.
This does look
Eris
like a versus
caught
bot game.
out in no man's land, flashing forward onto the bot lane, but gonna get taken down. Zhonya's come through to prolong the inevitable for a moment, but he is gonna fall to the encore. Martin Juice King picking that one up as Christian teleports in, and it just looks bleak for 777. They've not hit the magical spin in this first game as Rack is knocked up and taken down. Does answer back with one, but it's not going to be enough as it's a 4v2 now in the river. Ara and Judgy turning tail.
And I mean, you see not just the strength that Christian Simeone is bringing in itself, but look at Brand or Shyvana throwing damage over onto the Ornn, because they just don't, because the tanks on the side of FMB don't need to care about AD damage because Jinx is always dead. They will just take no magic damage whatsoever.
And even if the Jinx isn't dead, there's now a frozen heart in the inventory of Fool as Judgy tries to cut through these tanks, but they're so tanky that Christian has enough time to walk over and finish them off.
Dire straits for 777. They keep managing to cling on. I feel like this game should have ended like 10 minutes ago. But we're still here. We're still in the game. Do we want to have a conversation about the possible angles of 777 getting back into this game, or are we just accepting that this is a ticking time bomb?
I would rather talk about just the angles for the next draft, honestly. I mean, I thought FMB like would be punished potentially for not having a traditional AD carry to deal damage inside of these team fights, you know, and that could have maybe decided how this series goes on later when it comes to the future drafts. But when Yone is this far ahead, nothing matters.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if you don't have a traditional AD carry, the easy solution is make sure the other team doesn't have a traditional AD carry either. And Christian has done that beautifully, and it's displayed right there. The Call of the Forge God into the Fate Sealed. And that may just be the fate of Game 1 going in the favour of FMB. Ara locked up and taken down. Judgy and Eris, they try as they might a 4-man knock up on the Pot Blossom, but it's too little too late. Rack now trying to defend the base, but Eris going to be taken down by Sazum. And this could just be the death knell. Rack picking up one more, but it's a 4v1 in the base. Christian wants this over. It's an ace. It's 60 kills in 38 minutes.
I mean, this is what we wanted out of Game 1 from FMB. This is exactly what we wanted out of this series. We wanted a bloodbath. And even though 777 certainly went down hard, I have no doubt they'll get back up for Game 2 and try to adapt in this series. Well played from both teams, but especially well played from Christian Simeone there, making it hell for his opponents. I'm not too sure I like, 'cause you already see... Okay, we got the Malphite. We got it in. Hopefully some adaptation from the previous game where it got locked in. It really wasn't the strongest there. However, Into Aurelia is better than Into Yone. There's no mixed damage on these autos. It can really make her bleed, perhaps. They were the side of 5-minute break was hoping that it wouldn't get picked, or maybe it's something that was on their mind and they just go, this is absolutely fine, which it may be. The one thing I really do fear though here for the side of 777 is their sort of damage profile. Don't get me wrong, they do have damage. They got the slows coming out from Malphite and Ashe. There is mixed AD and magic damage, but Graves could really struggle into this comp. He's going to get a lot of value out of his armor for the Aurelia and the Rek'Sai, but what this does is it puts the onus on to Judgy Rocks, right? And if last game is any indication, that is a good person to have the onus on, to have be in control of how this early game is going to go and how the early to mid transition is going to be handled. But it's risky. It's cookage. It's definitely cooking. See, and I think while last game Christian Simeone was able to get away with being the solo AD damage for his team alongside the Rek'Sai, like you mentioned, not having a traditional ADC, I think this game is a lot harder for him. But who knows? After the performance last game, he might just pop off again.
Regardless of how Christian Simeone performs in this game, I think Tenshi will be feeling a lot better about things, as there's no Yone to dive on him from 3 screens away and pop his health bar to nothing. So definitely going to be some comfort there for the 777 ADC, as we are once again going to see a relatively standard 5-point start.
Yeah, no chaos this early into the game. Neither team wanting to coin flip it. I think we won't be seeing that coming out till game 3 or later, just because, especially with how flippy both of these drafts could be, one pick early could spell disaster for the rest of the early game. So, got to be very careful with it.
Just wanting to keep another eye on both of these junglers. Looks like they're both going to be starting towards the top side, although Sazam crossing down towards his red buff now. So we are going to see more of that focus towards the top side from FMB, as you mentioned in the draft, Dusk.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was expecting. Of Rack is going to put enough pressure on Sazam to draw the attention away from bot lane, and then you get your classic situation of, can my bot lane get more value than your top lane? And when I'm looking at Rack into Deja Vu, I'm confident in his ability to play right at that razor's edge, but not throw it all away on one play when he doesn't need to. Whereas for the side of Tenshi and Are on Fire, given that Karkili Martin Juicer King is a slightly weaker bot lane, I'm confident that the advantages that Judgy Rocks can bring to that lane will be more than Sazam can bring to top.
Well, we will see. The minions have met in the lanes, and we are underway for game 2. Again, relatively passive, like you mentioned at the start of game 1. This might be one of the calmest moments, or probably the calmest moment we will get in this game. So, yeah, what are we thinking? Are 777 going to strike back? Are they going to equalize the game score?
Like I said, I think the draft is good here, and if any game is going to be the angle for them to even it back up, this is the one, as we see the play into the mid lane.
Yeah, Sazam looking as the flash away, stun connects, and Eris going to fall. The Aurelia on the board already.
And it's a classic timing from Hawksbill. Yeah. Goes red, Raptors, Krugs, goes mid. Like, he has both options, go mid or go bot. Like, he sees the enemy laner overextended, just goes for it. And Rek'Sai's gank capabilities, like, I don't have to explain that to you guys. You know just how oppressive she can be.
But Eris, stun comes through again from Christian. He will just walk away.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically, up to this point, this has been a replay of what we saw last game, right? 3 camps into mid. Unfortunately, Eris just in a position where there's not much he can do about it, and the gank goes through. Now he's on the top side of the map. The question is, does the replay stop now? Because if we continue to see exactly what we saw last game, then we're going to see Rack fall after losing out too hard to the Ornn in the top lane. It looks like that's not going to be the case, especially with the fleet footwork on this Gnar. I can't see him going low, ever. But yeah, thus far, very well played from Sazam.
Almost a little bit of a questionable moment there from Kargili, just about able to dodge away from the Seer, stopping that stun coming through, but Martin Juicer King not so lucky. Tenshi going to take a hook as Martin Juicer King is burning, gone. Ara picks up one, and Kargili now under fire. Not going to be able to be taken down, though, as Judgy in the area. Dive could be on the cards.
Yeah, the Jody
Ooh,
walks
the
out here to
teleport.
teleport. Yeah.
Teleport from the Seraphine.
Rek'Sai's
That is
covering
triple
this.
teleport. Yeah, Rek'Sai also in the area as Ara going to get caught. Going to get taken down. No, the flash at the last second as the smoke screen comes through from Judgy. And all of the pressure, all of the attention, all of the summoners burned and no one died.
As is always the way with these early UNL games. This is what you're expecting. A lot of damage coming out and being dealt in the mid lane, but fundamentally it is just going to be that damage down. I can't see the kill going over. Apart from this fight in the jungle.
Judgy, he's jumped on, and Christian, having just chunked out Eris in the mid lane, going to force a flash out of Judgy as well.
Yeah, rough start here for the side of 777. The question being, can Judgy manage to keep the objective pressure that he managed to find in the previous game? With the dragon now spawning in, this is the exact, more or less a very similar situation, as much as they do have a kill back here on Ara. It's going to be the question of, can you stabilize the objectives and not let Christian Simeone get out of hand?
And to be fair, if you want your early kills going anywhere, 477 with this team comp, typically, obviously, you want your carries getting ahead, but Ara on this brand is going to be one of your carries, the sole AP threat, because let's be honest, we're all expecting Eris on this Malphite to be building full tank. So if this brand can get rolling, he could melt through some of the early team fights.
And the damage does just need to come through in this game. And I think the question is going to be, can we keep Tenshi alive in these fights? Whilst he's not necessarily going to be the sole focus for this game of jumping on top of, because our Ashe is that more utility-oriented character. Definitely still dealing damage, though. But can you actually play these fights a bit more comfortably? And I mean, just as we were talking about, can you play the fights the way you want them? Sazam is up in the top, saying exactly what we were talking about earlier in draft.
Yeah, Ara was zoning away Martin Juicer King from the wave as well. CS lead's starting to grow in the bot lane. Christian looking to roam down, though, and the brand could be under threat. No flash available. Stunned up, hooked, and taken down. Kill going to be donated to the Aurelia. 2-0 Christian.
Christian Simeone has been on the ball with these stuns so far. Has not missed a single important stun in any of the plays. He always manages to get that first. Playing with the Aurelia really nicely in the way that you put the first one down and it immediately, especially if players aren't comfortable with it, puts them in the state of, what do I do here? As the ult goes down.
Yeah, the unstoppable force onto the Rek'Sai, but all of the members of FNB are collapsing. Eris jumped on, stunned up onto 2 as well as Sazam able to walk away. Forge God is called, and Judgy is the one that receives the Divine Retribution.
We're not going to see the killer objective pressure here for Judgy. We're going to see him going down mid-fight. Only manages to... Doesn't even manage, sorry, to get one grab.
Encore onto Ara. Can he dodge the stun? The Seer going to come through and will be the Seraphine falling.
Yeah, that could perhaps lead to them managing to get the dragon, but it doesn't look like that's what the angle of Judgy Rock is thinking right now. Early game, I can see this game being a little trickier for 777 than it was. While they do have the ease of play in the bot lane, you might not be expecting the early jungle prio, so it's not the end of the world that these objectives are going down, but you definitely need to stabilize here and stop throwing away kills.
Yeah, you can't afford to give this Aurelia anything else. An 8-minute Blade of the Ruin King picked up here for Christian. And life in the mid lane for Eris. I mean, it was already difficult. There's already a 20 CS deficit for the 777 mid laner, but that life just got a whole lot trickier.
Yeah, given the way this lane's going, it brings into question, if you're being standard lane rat versus an Aurelia, you might pick up a Bramble Vest here to just nullify the healing that she's getting from that, but I question if Aurelia's even going to be laning against him for much longer, or if she's just going to be permanently shoving waves and then leaving.
But Dragon is secured for 777. They get themselves on the board with an objective, having given up those 3 earlier grubs. Single Infernal not going to turn the fortunes of a game completely. There was Christian diving onto Eris, slowed up by the cheese wheel, and Christian diving forward now onto Ara. Throws down the Pyroclasm. Not really sure if they were going to be able to look for anything there, but more damage regardless. There's again Christian just jumping onto this Malphite. Under fire though, Ara looking to answer back. Ignite goes down, but Christian not under threat of burning away. As now Sazam diving forward, Judgy in the area. It's a 3v2, Kargili and Sazam versus the 3-man squad of 777, but it's just going to be a little bit of poke traded back and forth.
Yeah, try and get the waves out here for 777. Don't overforce the play. You know Aurelia's in base, so it might be a time that you want to take it, but yeah, that TP is going to come through, get her straight back into the lane. Now, I'm really interested. Yeah, it's okay. There's the itemization there from Eris to try and deal with this. The Bramble Vest, I think, is going to be key in terms of how the fights between him and Aurelia go specifically, because the grievous wounds reducing the healing and also just the return damage is going to be vital in terms of making sure that these trades don't go completely awry. And it does mean that in the extended fight versus them, he might actually have a bit more pick potential with the side of his jungler or with Ara roaming up.
Yeah, as we're going to see yet another trade in the mid lane, and you can already see the effect that that Bramble Vest is having. Eris taking much less damage as Sazam going to look now in the top lane. Forge God called onto Rack, and he flashes, but not quite enough to get out of the way. But a little boomerang, just a little pocket watch is enough to keep them at bay.
Yeah, when you're in a position like that, it's hard to find it on. And Ara again, just here
Christian throws down the Vanguard's edge, gonna look for this, but no, stunned up, burning away the passive pop from the brand as no one falls, but Eris taken dangerously low.
Yeah, finally managing to turn some of these fights, not necessarily in his favor.
Oh no, Eris!
You gotta be aware of the snipe.
Oh dear, that's for someone whose confidence might already have been knocked a little bit by that first game, as you mentioned, Dusk. That is not what you want to see happen.
At the end of the day, I wouldn't be too worried about it. It's rough suffering in this lane, but again, the mindset needs to be not on winning, but on stabilizing and ensuring that the situation isn't getting worse. Here in this game, we are in a significantly worse spot for 777 than we were in the last. We got about 1.5k gold lead in the favor of FMB, but if anything from last game is to be learned, that gold lead doesn't matter.
He's going again. Depth charge down onto Judgy, and he is going to just about survive. No, Christian takes him down, but Ara claiming that shutdown. Kargili burning, Sazam joining the fight. Going to take down the brand, and now it's just a Malphite, and he's got no damage.
That is a shutdown onto Aurelia, though it is still 2 for 1, and you are going to lose the objective due to your jungler being down. So, not ideal. Like I was saying there, so it really is about stabilizing and just accepting these fights will be yours, but Rack does not want to listen to me.
Oh no. Oh, Rack. Not even going to get the chance to gnaw out. Knocked up and taken down before he hits the floor. We saw what FMB could do with no grubs in the previous game. Now they're going to have at least 5. Oh no, Judgy actually stealing that one away.
Christian's coming.
But they've got the 4 Christians joining the fray. Kargili lands yet another hook. The Aurelia is here. Ara flashing away, leaving his teammates to die. Maybe they can take one in retribution, but no, it's not going to happen. 5 grubs for FMB, 2 kills in this fight. And overall, 777 get nothing.
I really don't like this decision-making in the game. It looks like we're even going to see Eris go down here as the damage. It's just too much. They keep taking fights for no reason, whilst Grubs is a huge threat. They get them anyway, and now all you're doing is losing resources all across the rest of the map. You are bleeding. Aurelia is super strong in this position. There was no need to be contesting that. You simply were not in a position to be doing
my god, Christian. And you talked about this maybe being a replay of game 1 earlier, Dusk.
This could be even worse.
With Christian diving forward and just evaporating health bars, it is very much threatening the same. Judgy now, the next victim on the list. Blade Surge is available. Kargili throws out the depth charge, but that's not killing a Graves. Are they going to look for the dive? No.
Absolutely insanely played from Christian Simeone. Credit has to go over. The limits to which he's taking all of his champions are all so impressive. The level of play that he's demonstrating is incredible. Man's point rating is going to be through the roof, no doubt, next season. But the question is, can 777 stabilize?
Kargili potentially going to get caught out. Is going to fall here. Ara picking up yet another, but Eris on this Malphite once again going to fall. And I feel like we're at a point now where the Malphite pick into this Aurelia has to come under a little bit of question.
Honestly, I'm gonna go out on a limb, but I'm gonna say the pick's fine. It's how it was played that wasn't on the mark. I mean, obviously 0-5 is not the scoreline that you want to be looking at, but fundamentally this pick could have been played so differently. It could have been played, being completely honestly, so much better. And better doesn't mean, you know, winning fights. Better means not getting in the position to lose fights in the first place. If you go even with Aurelia in this game, and then you make her life a living hell in the later game, and she's not 8-1 in the mid game,
another hook lands.
the game's a lot easier.
Eris forced to use that unstoppable force to safety.
And this is sort of like case in point of the perfect example. The wave's coming into you there. 3 people are showing on mid lane. You don't need to be standing there. That ultimate should never have gotten burnt. And I think this is where we're losing so many resources from 777.
Oh, Christian.
Poor micro.
Once again, permanently threatening. And you see how this has changed the landscape of how the two teams are approaching this game. 777 almost playing with 3 people in mid lane permanently due to the pressure coming from this Aurelia.
FMB have just warped the map to
another
extreme
hook
ways.
lands.
And, that's
Ara's
another
gonna die. Christian picks up his 9th. I'm starting to run out of ways to describe this. Massacre is maybe one of them. Kargili just doesn't seem to want to miss today.
I'm trying not to sound angry at the team, but as the fight comes down here in the top lane, it looks like Rex gonna die as well.
Yeah, another one going to fall. Donated to the Rek'Sai. Full. See, okay, so what I've noticed over these first 2 games, right? Or game and a half. Basically 2 games. Fool and Eris are the 2 players I want to focus on for this analogy. Okay? Because I feel like the situation for both of those players is very much the same. Both on the lower end of the rating scale, against players who are, I think it is fair to say, significantly more experienced as an arrow going to land here in the bot lane. 777 looking to get something back and will on the Seraphine. But Fool losing these matchups, not even losing these matchups because of how the team is playing around him, but losing gracefully. Whereas Eris is very much, he's either going to win the matchup or get rolled over. And so far it's been the latter.
Yeah, I fundamentally, it's not even just Eris. Oh dear, this
Herald.
Herald. Yeah, take the Herald away.
Get out of there.
Towards mid lane.
Escapologist Herald carrying Judgy away to safety. Lands the knock-up on the Aurelia as well, actually. Really, really nicely done. But maybe Judgy has his driving license.
I mean, yeah, fundamentally, it wasn't even just bad play from Harris here in losing a lot of resources in the early game. This shouldn't be a fight here. Why are we even posturing? Like, what does the side of 777 gain from being stood this far up in the lane there? Obviously, the wave's in. What more do you want? Get out, get the disengage. And there's no doubt, you know, that at a certain point you need to start trying to make plays, but
Ara's going down again. The flash knock-up misses onto Christian. Ara escapes on a sliver. But Judgy going to fall. No, he also flashes and escapes on a sliver. But now Christian uses his flash, and he's just going to collect 2 into the waiting arms. The encore comes through. Knock up onto the Seraphine. 12-1 on the Aurelia. Can Christian Simeone be stopped?
Dabis, what are the rules on FFing in UNL?
I don't think there's a paragraph for that. I don't think there's anything in the rule set that prevents you
we might
forfeiting the
want to check
game.
what those rules are, because it might be occurring in 2 minutes. I'm gonna keep it.
I mean, it's a slasher film, and Christian Simeone's wearing the hockey mask. That's probably the closest analogy that I can think of right now. He's not even gonna die here, but Kargili will.
Kargili giving his life, protecting the 1,000 gold shutdown on his mid laner. I do want to give some props real quick to Ara and Tenshi. Ara's kind of been putting out fires on the map, ironic given the champion he's playing. And Tenshi, you know, just been consistent, collecting all of the farm in the bot lane, 203 on this Ashe. And yes, I am very much reaching to try and find a positive, or a theoretical possibility for 777 to get back into this game, but if they are to do so, I think it's going to be through this bot lane, who have looked, you know, very good in and very tempered in their aggression in the early stages here.
This Drake, if they're quick enough on it, it might go down. The steal angle for Sazam might be here, but the fight's breaking out.
Yeah, the Rek'Sai not going to be able to steal this one. Objective bounty collected by Judgy Rocks, and 777 get their first little win, really, in this game. The flash forward going to be denied by Kargili. Tenshi, very, very good reactions there, getting away from the hook. And, yeah, some light at the end of the tunnel, perhaps.
Yeah, daylight robbery, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think there's absolutely no world where they should ever get that Drake. What FMB have they've just given 5 extra minutes to 777 on the timer? A bit of a macro, a misplay, but certainly not going to be the end of the world, as Flash burnt in the top lane there for Deja Fool. We're starting to see the power in the Nara come out.
Yeah, Rack starting to assert some dominance in that lane. Ornaments, though, going to be arriving for 5-minute break shortly, as we do see the upgraded Frostborn, Iceborn Gauntlet full.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the value that Ornn brings. It doesn't matter how hard you're losing to Nara in the top lane. In this case, you're not even losing to Nara. You're barely down in CS and you're up on kills and assists. But on top of all the value that you're already bringing with your CC, with your lockdown, Call the Forge God alone is insane.
Christian, Christian finding Ara once again. The Vanguard's Edge comes down, and it's going to be a second on Tenshi. The hook at maximum range. Judgy found in the jungle now by Sazam, as the depth charge was thrown down in the mid lane. But the Rek'Sai going to find the Graves.
Well, Beth, we need to now be looking. Okay, what's the answer? Right, folks, get your thinking caps on here, because clearly FMB do not need our help. So 777, what the hell do they do for next game?
Yeah, because that is the discussion that you're having.
I'm at
right
a
now.
loss
You are
for
in the voice
words.
chat.
Yeah.
It's a 21-minute Baron, 26 kills in 21 minutes.
Like, the thing is, it was never this bad. Even in their first playoff series, the mid lane never looked like this much of a just chasm. It's just, you know, imagine the Grand Canyon. Now imagine that, but like 5 times the depth and width and all the dimensions. Like, what even is happening here? Why is Christian Simeone at double-digit kills 2 games in a row?
Well, I think just for those of you in chat that enjoy stats and numbers just as much as I do, I think Christian has now dropped 40 kills in 2 games.
Less than 2 games. This one's not even close to being over.
Let's just let that one sink in for a minute. As we're going to see Rack dove on again. Kargili hitting all of the hooks as Judgy and Sazam going at it in the bot jungle.
Oh,
but what?
Okay, lost vision. So
Lost vision, yeah.
Okay. Forge God called, Rack flashing away, but the depth charge comes through and he tries to jump, but is pulled straight back. Rack gonna fall. Yeah, it is very much let's plan for game 3.
Yeah.
Get the brooms out and try and find the reverse sweep at this point for 777.
If the last series, as you were saying, that was the Grand Canyon, then this is the Marianas Trench. Like this, the gap between these 2 teams, and specifically between these 2 mid laners, unfortunately, feels insurmountable almost. But the light at the end of the tunnel, if we are looking for the way for 777 to fundamentally come out and win this game, honestly, at this rate, the draft doesn't even feel that bad. I'm not saying that you should necessarily 100-0 run it back, and I'm just going to honestly ignore this.
Yeah, no,
because why are you going for a ward when you're 22-6? You don't need to walk outside your base. They have full vision there. You're going to die if you go for that. That's just throwing away deaths now. It's Christian Simeone just having his way with the base.
Oh, big flash unstoppable force though, on to 3. Can they find anything off of this? It's not actually looking like they're going to, as Tenshi flashbacks to game 1, deleted by Christian in the backline. Sazam dropping low, but not going to be able to be finished off as Christian nard back into the towers, but they've not got the damage. They've not got the time. And FMB might just take 2-0 up in this series.
that is an engage that would have easily worked if we were not looking at a 12,000 gold lead at 23 minutes into the game.
Yeah, if we were on parity right now, that would be the fight that 777 would need to get them back into this, but we're very much not at that point. And I don't really... What do you change going into game 3 here?
I mean, chat brings up a point. Like, is it just AD mids, period? Is that what allows Christian Simeone to pretty much snowball every possible lane matchup just uncontrollably? But then, like, I don't know if that's the play, because I think of his Azir, and that sounds just as scary.
His Azir, his Swain?
I feel like a change of mentality is in order instead. Like, you can't just... You just have to choose your battles a lot more carefully versus a team like FMB. Like, they pick these aggressive junglers, they want to fight you early.
Oh, Eris stunned up. Unstoppable Force to get himself to safety once again, but that's another big engage tool that will not be available. 2 inhibitors already down for 777. You expect either the third to fall or both Nexus turrets to be taken on this push.
Yeah, I mean, I think was this final
God
fight
called.
occurs,
Yeah, Tenshi gonna get charmed up by the Encore and almost one-shot by the Seraphine. No one gonna fall as of yet, aside from Rack, but it's just a case of can you clear the waves quickly enough. The Fool finds the knock-up onto 2, and that's gonna be curtains for game number 2. Simeone burning down, but it's not gonna be enough. The Void Grubs taking the towers away, and it's an open Nexus.
Yep, that's going to be looking to be game 2. Not much 777 can do there. Back to the drawing board. We thought it was just the Yone that was the issue. We thought we could take it off the table, but it is evidence that Christian Simeone's pockets are far deeper than one pick. 777 not only need to look at what they're drafting, but also who they're drafting it for and why. I think the answer here: get your worst players on comfort. Get Eris on something like the Corki or something like the Galio that he's been playing all season long. Don't let these silly, honestly, just... He was a Poppy Merchant in the TV1 series as well.
Shit.
Okay, this is... Yeah.
Wow.
I
gotta say, the responses from FMB this draft are kind of... They kind of slap. They kind of slap.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good, honestly, it's a good draft on both sides. I can see the logic going from both places, and I think that Morgana last pick is pretty goddamn tough. That's rough.
Yeah. Yeah, that feels pretty bad, man.
Or is he looking for sort of a more traditional Corki build, going the different routes? So either way, regardless of the outcome of this game, that's the kind of pings. Yeah,
I'm seeing red team pings onto those mid lane river bushes. Might just be a standard 5-point coming through from 777, but oh lord!
I think they'll be spotted by Judgy Rocks. Oh, not in time!
Our attention gonna be caught, rooted up, taken down. Sazam on the board with 1. Make that a second for Kargili, and we talked about the level 1 shenanigans. FMB with not a lot to lose, but a whole load to gain. Take 2.
One positive.
Good night, ladies and
no
gentlemen.
summoners blown by the bot lane. So the laning phase doesn't end here for them. But
Who are our kills on? One on Morgana.
It's not a good sign.
Let's take the positives here for 777. You got the flash off the Lee Sin and the ignite off the Morgana, so you have winning jungle bot lane.
That's exactly what you want, right? This is 777's comfort zone.
Yeah, throwing for content, right?
Exactly. Honestly, these previous 2 games, the reason we've been drafting, the reason we've been so hard to set 777 player here, we're just we're giving FMB a chance. This is a reverse 3-0. It starts now.
Well, at this point, if 777 were to reverse sweep the series, they would take the overall head-to-head for the season against FMB. But they got to find something. That comeback got to start now with the 2 early kills. 1,000 gold is the very early deficit. But stranger things have happened.
Definitely an angle here. I mean, we could see Christian Simeone being so oppressive on this pick already. Something is Very, very comfortable for him. Something he very clearly knows how to play. But Eris just going to be farming up. Again, this is where we wanted him to be, where the onus is not on him. The job is not for him to try and get leads, to try and deal with this Yasuo. Let the waves get pushed into you. Take the farm. I want to see high CS numbers, and that's it.
If I know anything about Eris, I've been around, like, I've talked to him for so long at this point. Yasuo is probably his least favorite champion inside the whole game. So not only is he, down 2 games, he's also battling his worst nightmare. Oh, what a flash from Ara!
Flashes forward onto Martin Juicer King. The Ignite goes down. Tenshi not quite going to be able to put all of the damage in, but forcing out the summoners in the bot lane. And Christian now taking the aggro as well in the mid. 777 may not be landing too much, but they are throwing the punches back as Christian. Gonna be dove by Judgy. The bomb gonna go wide from Eris as Sazam collects one. Christian finds the knock-up, but no further action.
Action-packed game to start us off. Nonetheless, we're still seeing tons of plays made across the map. It's still going to be coming up FMB in that mid lane. Really unfortunate there for Judgy Rocks, not exactly able to find what he wants, but regardless, still angles to be made, picks to be made. 777 certainly aren't out yet, despite the way the 1.6k gold lead may look.
Yeah, and Sam actually taking advantage of the longsword he bought from that level 1. Maybe that was actually the difference maker. The damage threshold was there to secure the kill.
Yeah, gonna be interesting to see what he can do. Now he's got the 2 kills in his back pocket. Christian benefiting 3 assists for the Yasuo. A pick that he kind of made his name for in UNL. And delivering on it already.
Yeah, before Yone, there was Yasuo. And that was pretty much the pick for Christian Simeone, and it would be fitting. Oh.
Looking for Sazam, but Fool is here.
He's alone. He has to dash
Sonic
out.
Wave goes... Yeah, he is just going to dash out. Surely dodges away from the body slam. As Ara going to threaten once again. Definitely wanting to make some fireworks in that bot lane. The one who is making the fireworks, though, Eris, being chunked out here again by Christian. The lethal tempo going to be stacked up as Judgy forces the Yasuo away.
Both supports
He's
making
definitely
the
go
move.
over.
Oh, we might see an extended fight here. Judgy chasing Christian down the river as Kargili forced up it, but a dark binding puts that one to bed.
Action-packed game starting off with flames from both teams. Now, I think the question is, from 777's perspective, the item lead is going to be there, so you need to be looking for windows as soon as you can. The Lee Sin being strong is disastrous. That character is a menace when ahead, and pickaxe and 2 long swords is certainly nothing to shake a stick at. However, as long as you're taking smart reset timers, and you're hopefully playing correct around sort of your waves, especially in the mid lane, it shouldn't be too much of a threat. But that being said, Sazam bringing the threat to Judgy Rocks, taking his camps.
Yeah, Judgy Rocks not really able to do a whole lot to strike back in the jungle. FMB with the 3 early kills, stamping a little bit of an authority on this one, but we aren't seeing some of the mistakes from 777 that we have done previously in this series.
Yeah, and instead of just looking like they're going down and losing every fight they're playing out, at the very least, even though they are 0-3, it looks like every single fight has a fresh breath of life, and they're really looking for different angles and different ways to play them correctly this time.
And a brief moment of calm descends on the game until Ara next decides to Hex Flash forward and look for a wall slam. But the ward will stifle all of those attempts as the bot lane tick up to level 5. Christian with that level 6 doesn't find the knock-up, so no last breath to come through. But another knock-up charged, and he's going to find the knock-up onto Eris, who takes another chunk. Aura just going to get... Oh! Not quite taken down as Kargili flashes under the tower. Tenshi going to look for something here. Doesn't have the level 6, cannot pull that Inferno trigger, but Tenshi will find one. Martin Juicer King now running, wheeling, trying to get away, but answering back with the power chord on the Seraphine.
Probably should have just accepted the kill onto the Morgana and not overpushed, perhaps to even look for the minion wave to try and get 6. But alas, it's still a kill in the bot lane. The more damage this Samira can get onto the bot lane, she's going to start to really be a menace now that she's a level 6 as well. As we see a fight breaking out.
Yeah, Rack going to get knocked up into the last breath, but pops the Ragnarok, going to burn to Christian. Judgy not able to save his top laner.
And we're seeing just how easy it is for Yasuo to follow up on both Lee Sin and the Gragas. So any kind of skirmish top side is just not really favored for 777. Even if Olaf can block a lot of that CC, he can still get, like, he's still going to take a lot of damage. That's a lot of longswords in his inventory, I've just noticed.
I was about to say, is Rack playing top lane, or is he playing the role of a sword salesman? Doran's Blade and 4 longswords in the inventory for the Olaf, but it's going to be a dragon here for 5-minute break. Some of the objective control coming back for Judgy that we touched on in the previous game. First 3 grubs picked up for 777. Going to help Rack out if he can get going with his split push.
I love the quad longsword.
Oh, the old core comes out and catches 2. Sazam joining the play, and Ara just falls to the wayside. Tenchi grabs the level 6 and has Judgy in the area, but I don't know if they want to take a 3v2. Rack takes a couple of tower shots, because why not?
It's just for the attack speed, bro. Don't worry about it.
Oh, true. Yeah, true.
I mean, that was Poppy just walking forwards, trying to make something happen. And first you're hit with a black shield, so no Eing forward, and then Seraphine presses R. And E. You're standing still for like, what, 2.5 seconds? 3 seconds?
It's 3.5 at max rank, isn't it? Something like that. I mean, I know it's not max rank, but it goes it goes longer. Like, such an obnoxious champion to play against is the Morgana.
A champion that feels a little bit underrated. I mean, I know that it has its counters in lane and it has moments where it shouldn't be picked, but in situations like this, it can just be really, really annoying.
And so whilst this game 3 has picked up very much from where it feels like game 2 has left off, I feel significantly more optimistic about 777's chances in this game.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny that even with the 3k gold lead that's developing, I also feel more confident in the fact that, you know, one flipped team fight could absolutely lead his way.
We see FMB posturing towards the top lane. Rack's under threat. Does spot it out just in time. The Spidey sense is tingling. The ghost has to be popped.
Yeah, not 100% sure I agree with popping the ghost over popping the Ragnarok. The cooldown seems a bit shorter.
Oh, the knock-up going to land onto Kargili, but it's not going to be enough.
I think Ara was looking to stun Morgana against that wall near the brushes, but hold on.
Oh, Rack under fire from Sazam. Yeah. Oh, pops the Ragnarok. Yeah, just going to burn away. The Lee Sin finding a 4th, and you know, up to now, it's kind of been the Christian Simeone show, as Judgy Rock's going to look for a play here in the bot lane, does have the stun, not going to land Black Shield very nicely timed, but the 3-man encore turns things around, the Echo falls, and it's just a 1-0
Oh, man.
for FMB.
What a counter-engage from Martin Juicer King on the Seraphine. Was just, I think he was just out of range of the stun
Christian's
field.
here now as well.
No,
Oh,
man.
this could go from bad to a
Please.
very good stun. Tenchi gonna get away, grounded for Christian, but Martin Juicer King picks up another. The beat dropping on the heads of 777. Ara to answer back, but it's a kill on the Poppy.
And all of a sudden, that confidence that we've maybe just had in the game is starting to wane. Eris is managing to play, but it's a toughie. It really is a tough one.
And now this Seraphine, this bot lane, which to this point we'd lauded for being consistent, you know, for not falling behind, not giving these giant advantages away. seem to have showed a crack, showed a chink in the armor, and it's being fully exploited here by FMB.
Yeah, the difference is night and day, really. I mean, trying to find their way in. With the advantages that they have, just in terms of raw itemization as well. We were talking about smacking them with their wallets last game. The flat forward, however.
Yeah, going to be dove on here is Sazam trying to dash away with the ward hop, but no, Judgy going to find that shutdown, giving the Echo gold. The Nash's Tooth already completed.
Big, huge,
little
massive.
injection of hope.
That's
If we're hopping up
700
on the
gold.
7-7 yeah. If we're hopping up on the 777 copium right now, 777, 700 gold
Alright.
seems perfect.
Alright, you don't win this 1v1 as it's a nice flash into the two-man knock-up. The last breath comes down, and it's another kill for the Yasuo. Maybe this is the moment where Christian starts to take control of this game 3. Judgy diving onto the Yasuo, though. Not quite going to find the kill as the camera shows us the wet noodle fight in the top lane. Tenshi being dove on now by Sazam with the Sonic Wave.
Narrowly missed out on it. It's a shame. If they managed to get that kill on the Yasuo there, I feel like that would have been the first time we actually see a decent momentum swing, even if not a gold lead swing, in favor of 777. Just not able to find it. And all the meanwhile, while that's going on, Seraphine is just getting all the plates she could ever need down here in the bot lane.
Ara, though, going to be looking to at least slow the Seraphine's retreat. Maybe see if the Samira can get into range, but no. Misses the stun on the wall. And FMB will just settle for a dragon.
Yeah, Dragon is exactly what they should be doing here. The gold lead will take care of itself. There's no point in flipping any more fights. You've got the lead.
Judgy.
Judgy's looking for it, though. He wants it. Ah, too slow.
Yeah, it's
No,
pretty
it's
hard
not
to
worth it.
outsmite Lee Sin.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, E smite is still very good for for Echo, but when you're down on items as well, and I imagine the E cooldown was likely just down from his red buff.
Oh, another binding gonna land as well, and Ara takes so much damage.
Oh.
Nice block on the encore there from Tenshi, keeping his support alive. Inferno Trigger nearly charged and ready to go. Does now
Roots.
have it, but I don't think you
no.
want this fight as the Seraphine just melts their health bars. Christian diving forward now onto Eris, going to kill him under his own tower, as Judgy will answer back, but no, the tower gifts that one over to the Corki.
That's fundamentally that's a shutdown, and the Echo is still there to pick up the wave. So the kill in the mid lane isn't too bad, but what was really rough was that disgusting double kill there down in the bot lane. Just despite managing to block the ultimate with the wind wall and everything else, it still wasn't enough. And now 2 and 9 bot lane for 777. This has got to feel rough.
Ara finds a stun onto Sazam. Judgy
Oh,
in
wow.
the area. They keep the
Okay.
tower alive. It's a shame the kill goes over to the Poppy there, but, you know, positive signs once again.
I've seen
Assist gold is
sequences
gold.
like that in Season 9 when playback, you know, was running amok. You know, you started to get into situations where Sazam would just get a little bit too hypey and start playing some really loose League of Legends, and that was one of those instances.
Yeah, Thor now the target as
They
Ara
got
diving forward. Judgy gets the Rift
got the
Herald,
Herald.
gets the bounty. And gonna get out with a flash. Just about keeping himself alive, and claims the eye, crucially as well. So Rift Herald available now for 777 if they can find an avenue to summon it. Massive respect for that, Kargily.
And Judgy is trying to plug all the holes that are present right now on the map, but I feel like the number of holes versus the number of fingers he has is just not a fair fight, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we talked about like the mid lane, and it finally came to fruition. The Corki situation, like when you consider what happened in the early game, Judgy managed to stabilize that. We're looking at a Corki that is looking quite good. Keep it up in CS, but instead is just the rest of the map that is struggling right now.
Oh, Christian again. Knockup goes wide, but I don't think he needs that one to land. Does end up dashing away after forcing the flash from the Samira. But my next question is, Judgy going to finish that kill? Does sacrifice his support in trade, as Sazam now diving forward? The Encore going to land onto the Echo, and Judgy will now fall. Martin Juicer King, the one benefiting from that. But I think the performance we're seeing from Eris in this game 3 on the Corki calls into question, why was this not given to him in the previous games? Was it banned? I don't remember.
It wasn't
was never
banned.
banned.
No, it was fully left open.
Like, I'm not saying that this would have solved all of the problems in games 1 and 2, but why has this not been the pick earlier in this series?
Yeah, I mean, you slot this into the game 1 draft. What they have, just literally 1-for-1 trade out the Corki for the Nico, and I feel like this is so much more comfortable for Eris.
Because then you're always playing, letting FMB engage into you, right? Which at that point, you've got the Jinx, you've got the Corki. Both of those champions in that first game would want to sit at 2.5 screens away. Yes, sure, there's a Yone that's probably running around wreaking havoc, because we're going to see chaos start to ensue again. Ara brawling in the top lane with Fool, as Sazam now dove on by 2. The Ragnarok and roll used here by Rack. No kill is going to come through, but an undertow blocked out by the wall.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole lot of skirmishing into a whole lot of nothing. Famous combo, as we see. Oh, no, it's not the kind of thing you want to be seeing.
Was that a Q flash?
That was a Q flash right there. That's not a combo, my son, unfortunately. It's you're not the Chinese Lee Sin you're hoping to be.
But objective bounty claimed, gold lead reduced, 4,000 is now the deficit. As Ara going to get stunned up and taken down? Maybe, no.
Oh,
yes,
yes.
Waiting in the wings. Oh, hang on. Okay, yeah.
Oh, it just gets
and now
worse.
Rack. Yeah, now Rack locked up. Don't really see why Rack needed to be there. Does answer back.
We did not need to take that Q. That Olaf was dead.
It's the Lee syndrome coming in strong. You have to take it in.
Both teams really getting down and dirty with this one. Eris searching for something. The dragon alive, but neither team seems to want it. Both teams just want the blood of their opponents. As we hit the 20-minute mark with 25 kills on the board already.
FMB still has pushing mid and bot, so they can afford to wait for their jungler to come back and just take the dragon there. There's still so many lanes that 777 need to address before they even walk up to the dragon.
And you know, I feel like it is a very, very common thing to happen with the caster curse. But as soon as I mentioned the gold lead coming down to about 4,000, it now again balloons to just shy of 6,000. As Ara maybe caught out again here, dodges away from everything so far as Judgy gonna throw down the bubble. But Ara diving in onto Sazam, don't really understand why you're looking there. You have no support, the package comes through from Eris. But again, there's no follow-up. And we talked about 777 forcing plays in the previous 2 games. This one feels incredibly forced. The fight going to continue. Eris rooted up, not quite taken down by Martin Juicer King, as now Rack running forward on to the full 5-minute break members. 1 kill going to be found as the Inferno trigger's pulled, but it's too little too late as Sazam finds that one. 3 for 1 in the favor of FMB, and Eris going to make that 4.
Yeah, just Echo unable to find the ultimate button there as well. It was pretty rough. I believe you might have been rooted up by the Morgana, not able to keep yourself alive in the fight, and it looks like that might not be quite enough for Christian Simeone.
Dead.
Is it going to be the full ace? Ara burning, tick tick boom. Well, they talk about nails and them going in the coffin. I don't know how many more nails FMB have got left to hammer this series.
Can't wait for the drama that 5-minute break will start up. God, guys, this team's just so broken. Can we do something about this? Dabis rules, please? Anything? Get this team out here. They're clearly too good.
I mean, what can I say? I mean, just talk. I guess we can spare a minute to talk about how they were perceived prior to even the start of the season. Because, like,
Yeah.
I mean, the strong points, sure, everyone knew how strong the Season 9 MVP Sazam is as a player. But, like, there are still some weak points potentially, but now they don't seem to exist as 777.
That's
They want to contest Baron, but they will be forced out of there.
And now maybe if FMB really tried to force this Baron, if you can play around the Corky poke properly, maybe there's a window. Yes, it's a 7,000 gold lead. Yes, I am clutching at straws a little bit, but it is possible. There is a universe where it happens, but with every second that ticks on in this game, that window seems to be closing ever so slightly further.
That's just a big problem for Corky, because he has to keep in mind the explosive cast pretty much at all costs. If he's ever in range of that, he's just going to get engaged on, but okay.
Oh, it's
wow.
a beautiful encore onto 2. Ara deleted immediately. Judgy going to follow his teammate into the grave, as this could be that final nail in the coffin here for 777. Tenshi and Eris running, but just going to survive. Baron on the cards here for 5-minute break. And then maybe one more fight left in this series.
Yeah, I mean, that fight was beautiful, with nothing short of, really. I mean, the engage, just how well they played with the Seraphine ultimate, layering the teammates in front of them to make sure it gets the extra range, finding the picks. So well done there by 5-minute break. And I mean, realistically, this is why they are not just looking like UNL winners, but UNL winners in a dominant fashion.
Yeah, it's just I don't need to say anything more. I mean, looking back historically, there hasn't been many instances where a player managed to win two UNL titles in a row. I mean, you can harken back to ye old days of UNL MDIB Season 1 and 2. Actually, hold on. Wait, he was on Homo Salus, so he did the 2-beat twice. Season 8 and 9. Hold on, yeah, it's the GOAT of UNL I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. But
Rack.
like, other cool storylines. I mean, Fool versus Ares, the Be Invictus boys. This was the fight between them to see who gets the first title. And Fool will just be soon probably in a position to get his first title in UNL. Christian Simeone, there were doubts about his potential skill level going into this, but
no.
I think there's no doubt here. Like, he just ran over 777.
Yeah.
In games 1 and 2 especially. I mean, this time it feels like the whole team stepped up.
Yeah, and it almost feels like Christian is not playing. It feels, maybe this is just my view on it, but it feels almost like Christian is not playing to that level from game 1 and 2. But like you say, the rest of the team's stepping up. He's not needing to. Judgy may be about to assassinate him here and get out alive, but that is simply nothing more than a moral and personal victory at this point. This game seems so far gone, so far past the point where it will be salvageable. Towers falling left, right, and center for 5-minute break, and 777 just haven't been able to stop the bleeding.
You mentioned how Christian Simeone, like, how he hasn't been playing up to the level that he has been in previous games, but does he need to this game when your bot lane is 9-0 and 14? Does he need to when your Lee Sin is 4-3 and 6 and is murdering people across the map? You know, it might not be that he's popping off, but he's done his fair share of carrying. There's no doubt in anyone's mind that he is one of the best, if not the best, players in UNL, especially in this season. So why not let his teammates have the spotlight for a little bit?
No, 100%. His back clearly needs a rest, and the rest of 5-minute break gladly oblige.
And after the disappointment that was, the reenactment of Off-Roll Aquarium in Season 8, this is a big return to glory for Christian, as he's going to get 2 kills here. 3? Maybe
packaging
3.
Packaging into the Dragon Pit.
Ow.
Into all of the members of 5-minute break there. Eris 3 kills going to fall. Rack knocked back into the team. Fool really on point with the cask. And, we are 44 kills in 27 minutes. I don't see a way back into this game or the series now for 777.
Yeah, this is a tough one, short of divine intervention.
Or someone disconnecting keyboards from computers.
Well, this is what I was going to say. Does anybody happen to know the IP of any of the FMB players? Because as a 777 substitute myself, I might have to do some tactical package drops. But oh yeah, short of that, it's very hard unless FMB do just start bashing their heads into their keyboards and start throwing away the game on purpose. I don't see how we're going to find our way back into this series.
No, the base is broken. The jungle camp's being taken away. It is cold. It is clinical. It is massacre for 5-minute break. And it almost feels like these last few towers, these last couple of inhibs are merely a formality now for the side of 5-minute break. The big one lands, but it doesn't even do 20% of the Seraphine's health. That Corki not hitting nearly to the level that you would hope if a 777 were going to mount a comeback. Christian Simeone throws out another tornado, forces all of the 777 members back, and the tower once again sieged. The Sazan diving forward, going to be stunned up, but Christian finds the execution of the Corki. The Lee Sin going to fall, but it's a triple kill for the Yasuo. Make that a quadra. Is he going to look for the penta on to Rack to put the icing on the cake of this finals performance? Rack going to answer back on one. Here we go. Give him the penta in the finals. Christian secures a pentakill.
Congratulations to 5-minute break for winning UNL Season 10. Oh my god, what a performance.
Seals the deal with a kiss. Christian Simeone and his pentakill and 5-minute break are your UNL Season 10 champions.
That was the jewel.
What a series.
That was the jewel to his crown in this finals game. Like, that was the one thing he was missing. Like, he was already just dancing on 777's corpses in that second game especially, but like all that was missing was a pentakill. And now, as the Nexus explodes, he gets it, and I don't think there's any doubt as to who the finals MVP is. That was just devastation.
He cements his position as the finals MVP, in my opinion. He cements his position as one of the strongest UNL players. He cements his place in first in UNL Season 10, and sadly, he also probably cements his place
at
in
150 points.
Yeah, 150 points. You're gonna have to